Good morning, this is Paula Ward, aka Tutu Fit Mama. I'm just getting in my book before this morning. I have a lot of stuff to do today. This chapter 2, is not my favorite. It was basically talking about, the book is called The Gift of Failure, in case you guys are checking in. Basically the history of parenting and how we learn to parent growing through the years. Initially the author talks about, she based growing up on Laura Ingalls and Little House on the Prairie, where, everything was right and wrong. Mom and Pa Ingalls always knew what to do, and she realized that as she got older that it wasn't going to work in this society, so she looked into the history of it, and back in back in the farms and stuff like that, we would, the kids were, a lot of them didn't survive because of illness and everything else. The kids were expected to work on the farm. They had jobs, and really they didn't have time to coddle them or worry about their failures. They were just kind of left on their own to kind of deal with it and figure it out on their own. Then we worked on where child parenting basically became a science. We had doctors coming in. Let's see, the first doctor was, I forget what his name is, John Locke. And he was talking about how children were meant to be seen, not heard, that basically need to correct and comfort, and really not kind of a lovey-feely kind of fellow. Basically, kids were dying of flu, like 2 to 3 times increase of childhood deaths was actually in Boston, in this area. And a lot of times those kids were not only expected to do the work of them, but the siblings that had passed away. So really they didn't have time to kind of have this touchy-feely parenting. Then they basically had gotten into where they ended up passing labor laws, because of course all these kids are working in factories because they were tiny, they could get into the things, but the kids were really being, at that point, overworked and not paid enough. So the kids basically in their mind were of leisure. And they now were focusing more on the kids' feelings, because kids had time to express it because they weren't just working and doing the things they were needing to do. That's when doctors became around. Before, I guess, parents would, they'd take care of all their kids' problems in the house. They were their doctor, their nurse, they were the dentist, and everything was kind of recorded at home. And basically pediatrics kind of came about. And basically parents now felt the need that a doctor had to tell them how to rear their kids, even though in past years, prior parents and everything would kind of tell them how to raise their kids. So, moving on, you got Freud. Freud came along in, the 50s, basically telling kids that their attachment to their mother and father and everything was going to mess them up for life. So again, parents had no idea what to do, and anything they were doing was wrong. Basically, you get into the 50s and 60s, and you end up with Dr. Spock. And finally, Dr. Spock said you know more than you think, that you, as a parent, can help your kids, use common sense to parent. And some parents embraced this, some did not, because basically up till now, parents felt they needed a manual, do this, do that, which is, I don't know, I feel like some of us are like that now. I know I was. I did find that when I was younger, I was so tired that I relied on someone to tell me exactly how to bring up my kids, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Basically, in the 70s, kids, because of all the activism, were now questioning their parents and questioning how they were raised, because they were told by people in the news to question authority, which basically, again, caused more problems. We are now in an age where basically they're working towards self-esteem, and in self-esteem, basically, according to this author, made kids narcissistic and self-involved and everything else, and that this doesn't work. So in the following chapter, she talks about how she's going to basically talk about ways to kind of help with the gift of failure in kids and allowing them to fail, and how to do it as parents. Parents, we want to basically parent by what feels good, a lot of parents are now in the workforce. They only have a very short amount of time with our kids, and that we want that time to be, we don't be fighting with them. And I'm horrible at this, I admit it, because, I come home and I've worked a 12-hour night and I'm half awake, and I do not want to sit here and listen to my kids fight. So, all right, here's a cookie, here's this, here's that, whatever I can do to get you guys to stop fighting, and then they do it the next time. And then there's never that time where everybody's happy, because they know if they act up, they'll be rewarded. So that's why I thought this book was interesting, about better ways to kind of deal with everybody. Let's see what else. I'm trying to think if there's any other topics that I basically had to talk to. But yeah, so we basically need to achieve a balance, basically, how am I going to know if I'm a good parent? And I think for me, I know I'm a good parent when I see my kids doing things for others without being told, out of the kindness of their heart. Like, my son will go over to my parents' house, shovel the driveway, and not expect anything, and basically say that, no, I'm doing this for you. It's times like that I feel good, or when I see them being kind to another student that they see in trouble. I have to just know that whatever I've done, or obviously emulated, that they've taken that in, rather than they're happy at the moment. So, rough chapter, but it was basically just about the history of parenting and how we basically developed experts to tell us how to raise our kids, instead of in prior years where our parents kind of gave us ideas on how to bring them up. So it's a little dry, a little hard to listen to at 5 a.m. while I'm sitting here having my breakfast, but I still like the book. I guess you got to have background to kind of get to where you are. So I hope you guys have a great Tuesday. I think hopefully it's gonna be sunny out here in Massachusetts. So it rained all day yesterday. So I hope this helps. I know the information was kind of dry, but I guess you got to take the good with the bad. So have a great morning. This is Paula Ward, aka 22 Fit Mama. Hope this helps you live your best life. Thanks.